Angela!
Hi, Lindie.
It's super nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, so you are learning French, Portuguese, Japanese, Korean. Is that and?
Spanish
And Spanish.
and Polish.
Amazing! So, what got you interested in languages in the first place?
Well, for one thing, my mom is from Panama, so it's kind of always been there that my grandparents speak Spanish. They also speak English. I was not raised bilingually. However, I did watch Spanish TV growing up, and I would hear my mom saying some things. I did mention this to you before, actually, but I had a little bilingual doll. So you would squeeze like the body parts of the doll, like the ear or the hand, and it would say like mano, hand. And so I like knew very little because of that. But yeah, my mom spoke Spanish. She had a love for languages as well. She also majored in French in college, and then yeah, I was just always interested in other cultures, so that's where it all stemmed from.
And was Spanish your first foreign language?
It was, yes. There was actually a time where I couldn't really decide what I wanted my first foreign language to be, but the only options in high school were Spanish and French, and so I picked Spanish.
Cool. And the other ones, where did and when and how did they come along?
As I said, at my high school, there was only Spanish and French, so I had another option for an elective, and I thought, well, I'll take French because I really like languages. Portuguese came along in college when I was doing my Spanish major, and I didn't really want to take another literature class. So, as my elective, I found out that Portuguese was offered, and that's where that came from.
So you just did it for the fun?
Yeah,
cool.
Just for fun, really. And I really liked it because I didn't really know much about Portuguese at all. So I didn't really know what to expect, didn't know what it sounded like. I just knew it was similar to Spanish, and I took the class. I loved it, took another class, and then the rest is history.
What would you say is the most important language learning tip you would give to beginners of any language?
This is like easier said than done, but try to have confidence. I know it's scary, and like to this day, even though I've been learning languages for years and years, I still get stage fright, if you will, with like native speakers and stuff. But honestly, they're very receptive, they're very helpful, they're very nice, they won't make fun of you. If they do, they're probably just a jerk or they're joking around. But that has helped me because the only way to get better is through speaking.
Absolutely.
So just do it.
Yeah. I think it took me about like 4 years to get confidence to speak in Korean. Like I would just freeze, and I was so scared to even say like hello to someone who was working in the Korean shop. And now I've just started learning Hungarian 2 months ago, and I'm already like speaking with people and not caring if I make mistakes. So you're really right. Like that's something that, like you said, is easier said than done, but it's a really important tip. And what would you say is your most embarrassing language moment?
Embarrassing. Okay. It's hard to think for most embarrassing, but I could give a story of an embarrassing language moment, which was I was taking a beginner's Korean class in France, and the professor she taught us how to say Happy New Year in Korean.
Yeah.
And so we had to say it to be able to leave the room. And it was, to me, like as a beginner, it was such a long,
it is
like,
a long phrase.
Right. And then I was leaving, and I kind of forgot that she had mentioned that. So as I'm leaving, she's like, Happy New Year, and I didn't even know, like, how to respond or anything. I can't remember if I just said bye or, like, thank you, but I couldn't find the words for it.
Shame, yeah. I mean, it's hard to, like, grasp, especially if you're new at a language, like, these long phrases. So you also have a language learning YouTube channel. And I think your videos are some of the most like honest and sweet language learning videos out there. Like your tips are really heartwarming. So I just want to ad break here and tell all the people who are watching to please check out Angela's channel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And everyone watching should still subscribe to you too, because you're awesome and you're doing such great things for the language learning community.
Thank you. So could you tell me a bit more about your language learning routine? How do you keep up learning so many languages?
Okay, so what I do is I don't really start a new one until I feel like conversational, and I know there's a debate on like what is conversational, but if I can generally have a conversation about my day or something that's going on in life, then I feel well enough to start a new language as well. What I did was I learned Spanish for, let me think, like 2, 3 years and added French at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then with French, I had studied it for about like 1, 2 years before I added in Portuguese. And then in order to keep up with all of them, I actually majored in Spanish and French, so that forced me to
That
have to
helps.
speak. Yeah, it helps for sure. Now I'm not really doing much of that because I'm in an interpreting program, so some of it's language based, but other stuff
Ooh.
is like theory and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So what I do is like I'll watch TV. I'll just try to incorporate it into my life as best as possible. So like one thing that I definitely do every day is I keep a diary and I will do an entry a day, but every day is a different language. So
Cool.
I do Spanish one day, French the next day, then Portuguese the next day, then back to Spanish, then blah blah blah.
That's really cool. So you mainly keep it in Spanish, French, and Portuguese, and then the Korean and Japanese, are you still like beginner or intermediate in those?
I would say it's hard to say, honestly. For Japanese, definitely beginner.
Mm-hmm.
I had been learning from this one video game actually that teaches you Japanese,
Cool.
and it's called My Japanese Coach. I don't know if you've heard of it
I've
before.
never heard of. I didn't know learning from video games was a thing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Rosetta Stone type thing, but not really. It's like a language learning game.
Okay.
So, yeah, I like learned how to conjugate some verbs and stuff like that from the game. I never got to finish it, but it was so helpful. And then Korean, I would say beginner probably, or like
Okay.
maybe upper beginner.
Cool. So how old are you, by the way? I think I never asked this.
I'm 23 years old.
Oh, so we're the same age. For some reason, I thought you're like in high school. You look so young and youthful. Wow. Oh,
I
look
was
at
gonna
that.
have you guess.
I would have guessed like 18 or 19. I'm serious.
Really?
Definitely.
I do want to ask you a question,
Sure.
actually, because I know you cut your hair recently, and I also cut mine recently too. So how does it feel, like getting your hair cut and everything?
It was like, I'm sure you knew it was like up to here. You don't understand how much hair weighs. Like you think hair weighs nothing, and as soon as you cut them off, you're like, it gets cut off. You're like, oh, I weigh like 10 kilograms less, and like suddenly I have like an open neck, and when people walk past me, I'm like, ooh, what's that breeze? Like in the office, but it's like really
Oh,
refreshing. It's so versatile. Like I can make it up like this. And then I
mm-hmm.
can make it like down like that, and I can also do a mohawk if I want.
Yeah.
So every day it's different, and that's really exciting. Can you tell me your favorite word in all of the languages you're learning?
Oh boy,
A
my
favorite
favorite word.
phrase or something?
I don't know why, but in Japanese, I really liked the word for mouse. I believe it's mausu, right?
Mouse, like a computer mouse?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Like, I heard it in a video once, and I was like, this is really cute.
Mouse, like the English
Yeah.
version. Oh, okay.
And then other words that I like. Ooh, one that was fun to say. Like, Portuguese has a ton of fun words
Oh
and
yeah?
sounds and everything. Silly in Portuguese specifically. Like, for instance, to say the word Connecticut, at least this is what we learned in class, but it was Kichi. Konekiki.
What? That's what? Why don't they just say Connecticut? That is so interesting.
And then, like, the word for chocolate, chocolate.
Chocolate. That
So,
sounds so cool. So, should we try speaking in French?
sure, yeah, because definitely not Korean or Japanese.
Yeah, well, my French is so rusty. Oh my goodness. I don't think I've spoken to someone for longer than 5 minutes in like 6 years in French. So,
Bonjour.
bonjour.
Ça va?
Oh, ça va bien? I'm a little nervous.
Oh, Non.
Et toi, tu fais quoi aujourd'hui?
Aujourd'hui, je suis allée à l'église
Ah ouais?
et j'ai déjeuné et maintenant je suis ici avec toi et je te parle. Et après ça, hmm, peut-être je vais faire mes devoirs.
Ah ouais? T'as beaucoup de devoirs?
Oui, je dois lire pour mon cours de localisation.
Oh, c'est cool.
C'est à propos de la traduction,
Ah ouais.
mais je ne sais pas c'est quoi la localisation
Hmm.
encore.
Moi
Alors
aussi,
je dois lire mon lecture.
je ne le sais pas. Pas du tout. Je pense que j'ai oublié tout mon français. Mais
Oh, c'est
tu parles
parfait.
vraiment bien. Et tu es trop inspirational pour moi.
Oh, merci. J'oublie tous les mots dans toutes les langues.
Moi aussi, moi aussi. Je comprends. Cool. It was super nice to talk to you.
And it was nice meeting
You
you.
too. We should chat again.
We should. This
Yeah.
was so good.
Okay, bye.